Greetings pot pickers, it's Simon from simonwoods.com with another video for Wine Relief 2011. Today, Marks & Spencer's, and it's their white wines. Actually, it's not all their white ones because they've got a load in their Comic Relief offer this year. What they're doing is, I think it's all wines over a £5 from South Africa. 10% of the cost of those is going to Comic Relief. Good idea. Let's dig in. First one, Cape Quarter Colombard Chardonnay. Now, Colombards are great that they've planted rather a lot of in South Africa, and a lot of it traditionally has gone off for brandy production, and it's one of those grapes that it's grown in France for brandy production. It's the main one of Armagnac, and but by itself, Colombard makes some really rather nice wines. It makes almost zippy Sauvignon-like wines. If you've ever had Vin de Pays de Côte de Gascogne from France, or you've ever had Colombard from South Africa, it can make some really nice, quasi-Sauvignon style. Plonked a bit of Chardonnay in here, presumably to try and fatten it up. Let's see what it's like. Well, it smells like it's got that zip and freshness of Colombard, but a bit more of the creamy, slightly peachy edge of Chardonnay. Smells really attractive. Perfect for a February day. Oh well. Nice, clean, zesty, bit of nutty creaminess. It feels like they've left, maybe they've left the Chardonnay on the leesy sludge at the end of fermentation. It's picked up a bit of nutty character in the process. It says on the back, served with grilled prawns. I'd love to be in South Africa eating it with eating some grilled prawns and having a glass of this, but I think it'd taste pretty nice on a Tuesday night in Dobcross. Actually, Dobcross is where I live. If I mention Dobcross in these videos, it's my hometown. It's rather small, but it's rather nice. Next one, Rock Ridge Chardonnay from does it say whereabouts it's from? Robertson. Robertson's a slightly inland region, and it's weird because you think, oh, further inland you go in South Africa, generally it's warm, and it is a warm spot, but I think it's got outcrops of limestone, and Chardonnay go very nicely together. So let's give this a whirl and see what it's like. I think it says on the back it's been given the merest kiss of French oak. Let's have a look. The merest touch, not a kiss. Oh well. Smells like it's got some of that peachy edge of Chardonnay, but also a finer, leaner style. Things like green apple, and people say Chablis-like. What they tend to mean when they say that is it feels like unhampered Chardonnay from not a particularly ripe area. So they've got the citrus edges. It's got the green apple. It doesn't for me smell like Chablis. It smells of lean, unoaked Chardonnay, apart from that mere touch of oak. Yeah, nice, clean, there's a purity about it, a bit of fatness to it. It's strange just thinking about those two side by side. One of them's got the Colombard in to give it the extra zip, and I actually find myself preferring that because of that zip and freshness. But I know that some people like their wines to be on that zippy, more acidic side. Some people like something that's a little softer and more gentle. I mean, there's a nice contrast between the two. Both of them are nice. I prefer one, others will prefer the other. That's wine. We don't all like the same wines. We don't all wear the same clothes, listen to the same music, and so on. Let's see what this one's like. Rather unusual blend. Colombard Chardonnay. Yes, that's a sort of blend that you see quite a lot in South Africa, but you don't see too much Riesling Viognier. This is Flagstone Knock on Wood 2009 with two rather bookends rabbits looking on at you. I presume the idea of this, I mean, Riesling by itself in some parts of the world can be quite lean and steely. Presumably they're adding Viognier in there to add a little few more exotic flavours. Is it a good move? In my mind, I think I actually like Riesling by itself. I like the purity of Riesling, and I like Viognier by itself. Will the blend work? Let's see. Well, it smells very Riesling. It's got this lean, petrol-y, citrus, guava, some of the slightly exotic edge, ever so slight touch of the kerosene petrol that you get in some Rieslings, and the Viognier character. Well, there is nut kernel ever so slightly there, but if you told me that there wasn't any Viognier in there and that there was a bit more riper Riesling, well, I would have believed you. It's a nice wine, that. What's good about it is it's got this Riesling body, Riesling sveltness, sveltosity, That's not a word, I just made it up. But the Viognier is adding a little bit of touch of exotic spicy character, filling it out slightly. Riesling can be a bit lean for some people, and again I was talking about acidity. Some people object to Riesling's acidity, so something softer and fleshier like Viognier, just to round out some of that ever so slight gawky character that Riesling can have when it's young. Yeah, a very interesting blend, not one you see everywhere, and works pretty well. Let's see what the next one's like. What are we on here? We've got 2 Chenin Blancs to finish. I was saying before about Colombard being a grape that was widely planted in South Africa for making brandy. Well, same with Chenin Blanc. They've got loads of it, and only now really are people beginning to take full advantage of it. So this is Crow's Fountain Stellenbosch Chenin Blanc. Does it say anything about wood on here? No, it says Parma ham grilled trout. 2 rather different styles of food there for having as recommendations. Hey. Honeyed, nutty, it's got this citrus edge, but it's as well as fresh citrus. It's got, can't remember the last time I had a jelly cube, but it's got a bit of that lemon jelly cube character in there. And smells like it's going to be quite full-bodied, but Chenin Blanc is known, just like Riesling, for its structure. It's always got this thread of acidity going through it. So I imagine it's going to be quite fat but reined in, almost like someone tightening their belt 1 notch too many. Clean, sappy, slightly simple, but simple and honest and enjoyable. And compared with, I'm thinking about comparing with the Rockridge Chardonnay. What I think I prefer about that one, it's got a little more tang to the fruit. Yes, it's on this zippier citrus style, bits of guava, something like green gage in there as well. Tasty, and I've got a feeling, I mean it's coming up for its first birthday, I've got a feeling that by summer that will have rounded out a little bit more and will be showing even better than it is now. Looks okay now. The last one, Villera, traditional barrel fermented Chenin Blanc. I don't think the first Chenin Blanc had any wood influence. This one, though, has been fermented in a barrel, and that has a couple of effects on a wine. If you put a wine in a barrel, a ready-made wine in a barrel, it tends to, well, it's like adding, you know, there are some ingredients that you add at the start of cooking, and there's some that you add at the end of cooking. If you've got something like dried herbs, and you put them in with 5 minutes to go for your spaghetti bolognese, then they don't integrate in quite the way that they would do if you introduce them right at the start of cooking. And it's the same with wood. The earlier you get it into your wine, the more subtle the effects are on the wine, and the less it pokes out. So there's, in terms of flavour, wood adds, the woody flavours to a wine, so you get those toasty, smoky vanilla notes. But it also, once the fermentation's finished in the barrel, and then it just sits there in the barrel, and it slowly softens. And people say it breathes through the pores of the barrel. Well, you don't see sort of like these barrels going, but there is some sort of reaction that takes place, and it rounds out the gawky edges of a wine. Used more probably with red wines than white wines, but it can knock the gawky edges off any wine. And of course, you can leave a wine in a barrel for far too long, and it just ends up sort of losing its gawky edges and then shrivelling up and not tasting of all that much apart from wood. So let's see whether they've got it right here. Yeah, different beast from here. You are getting that smoky, toasty, and those vanilla, bit of custard even. And it feels like, I don't know whether the fruits are a little bit riper here, it feels like there's going to be that Chenin tang at the background, that green gage and citrus, and bits of apple, but it's got a bit more flesh, a bit more weight to it. Very tasty, and young, but loads and loads of things going on there. Yeah, you've got it's got this nice mix of freshness, it's got the slightly softer vanilla edge from the oak, but then it's also got something that's really on that exotic side, like pineapples, apricots, And as if they'd put some fruit in. I don't know whether they put. Well, what they might have done is, if Chenin Blanc is susceptible to something called botrytis, it's a fungus, and you look at the grapes when they're affected by botrytis, you think, how on earth? They look manky. Basically, it look like they've gone rotten, and they have gone rotten. And what's happened is a fungus has attacked them, has shriveled them up, concentrating the flavours, and you get these really dusty, horrible, gunky looking things, but the nectar comes out of them. It feels like there's a bit of something like that in there. Just adding this more exotic edge to the to that prime, pristine apple and citrus flavour. Very tasty wine. And what's nice about the oak is that it's not like here's the oak, here's the fruit. They're both melded together, and it feels like it's a wine that's looking good now, but probably 5 years or more ahead of it. Well, that's a star. I love that, and especially love it when 10% of the cost of it is going to Comic Relief. So go out, fill your boots, and maybe buy several bottles of that and a few, maybe not as many as the others, but it's a nice tasty range. See you soon.